Hi, thank you for calling. It's a creator's world. We're just living in it.
Press 10,000.
I'm Nick Benson, founder and CEO of Atelier, a product platform for creators.
And I'm Rowi Singh, beauty creative. We're here to spill the tea on the creator economy and deep dive into the next evolution of the creator lifecycle. I posted recently on my Instagram story.
Oh my God, I was going to respond to this.
A question. What celebrity do you think you would actually vibe and get along with, and they would vibe and get along with you too?
That's a great question. How to answer this and not sound like an asshole.
It's funny because people's responses coming through, they're like, "Oh, Rihanna." I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. Can I say Rowi Singh?
Brownie points. Brownie points.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Who do I think I would actually vibe with and get along with? I mean, like, I love the idea that I would vibe with Pusha T because I love him and he's my idol. But then, like, you know, years ago when I was listening to clips, I would have been like, no fucking way would I ever be. And then I discovered his dog's Instagram account where he will like post a picture of his dog on Father's Day, and then the comment will be "Happy Father's Day, Dad," and then he will then switch to his own account and reply "Thanks, son." And so like that level of like nerdiness, I'm just like, yeah, maybe we would get along.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Because you've thought through this.
Well,
I think
yeah.
people, initial response is to mention someone that they idolize, but your idol will never be your friend.
Right.
And I don't even think if you met your idol, they would still be your idol.
Right, that was a humanizing moment for me, you know? I was
You're like, I relate to
yeah,
that.
I could definitely see myself having an Instagram account for my dog and then having a public conversation with my dog from my own account. That's like a perfectly normal thing to do. Thanks, Terrence.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think I actually never answered it when I was doing it.
My God.
Because I was thinking, it was a hard question because I was thinking about it.
Uh-huh.
But do you watch Insecure? Have you seen that show with Issa Rae? It's like really, it's a great comedy that just like details the intricacies of being like a black woman in America.
Okay.
And Issa is just, she basically plays herself. Like she is Issa in Insecure. And she's just has this like sweetness and like funniness and awkwardness about her that I feel like I would have an affinity to. I don't know. I think she would be a vibe.
Okay.
I also think the Hadid sisters are really nice. They seem really nice.
Okay.
Like nice people.
Mhm.
And I think that like controversial. I think the Kardashians would be hilarious. Like
yeah.
just being
they seem
they
like
have good
kind of
chat.
nice and relatable when they
Yeah.
talk. 'Cause, I mean, they're obviously like
it's just
extra, but then I think, yeah, if I ever see like, yeah, Kim interviewed or whatever, I'm just like, oh yeah, you seem pretty chill.
Pretty chill. And you know, that we can't relate to them whatsoever. But I think having a conversation with them, I'm like, yeah, this is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, those were mine.
Okay, that's good.
Cool.
I think like we've probably got that wrong, but we've covered off some like it's a fun conversation.
Got it wrong.
Yeah.
We nailed that.
Terrence, if you're listening, my number is. So last time we had like a really like high level conversation around the state of play for creators and brands in general, and now we're kind of going to dive into Rowi's story, I guess.
Let's bring it all the way back.
Yeah.
Let's just delve into. I think it's interesting because we don't really know how anyone started.
Right.
I guess maybe the first official influencer, was like Kim Kardashian. I feel like she started the whole movement of presenting yourself as an online persona and turning that into a business and making money from it. That's how it sort of started, but we can't really pinpoint, oh, this is how you get into the industry. Oh, that's the degree you do in order to become qualified in this industry. Everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah. And I guess like humble beginnings are also it's kind of nerve-wracking to share humble beginnings, right? Because like I think you end up believing the legend a little bit, right? And it's like a bit uncomfortable to share that at times.
It is.
So spill the tea, Rowi Singh. Let's hear it.
I think I'll tell you how it's sort of how I wanted to come into a creative industry, because I didn't know what it was yet, like what I wanted to do.
Right.
I think it was 2010. I was in year 10, and I just felt like a certain displacement in where I was, because I couldn't really see my future. And I don't think anyone can at that age.
Did you have pressure?
I didn't have pressure, which is amazing. I think my family were really, really supportive, and they never gave me the whole, you need to become a doctor, you need to become, you need to make a money spiel, because I think that may have affected my career path. I think they were always going to be supportive, but they had their doubts. Like in the back of their mind, if you're...
I mean, still probably do. Because that's the role of a parent.
That's exactly. They just want the best for you at all times, but sometimes their best is not your best, and it's just getting them onto what your best is.
Right.
And
it's a trust thing, right? It's like you need them to trust you.
100%.
Yeah.
But they need, what I've realized, I think, with ethnic parents as well, they need the cold, hard facts. Like, give me the evidence that you were going to do okay. And for me, that was just like my earning power in this industry and like how I rose to the top.
Right.
I think when they can see it, and when they can relate to it, or for example, I could have like content that goes viral on the internet, on Instagram.
Right.
But then I could have like an article in a magazine. That's much more tangible for them. They can see that as like a point of success.
Sure.
Whereas like virality is like, how do you quantify that? Like, how do you look at that as a parent who grew up around traditional like media and go, oh, wow, she's successful. It's hard to sort of pinpoint that.
Boomers and computers, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're just
I feel you.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So my parents were on board. It was more just my internal battle and not really coming to terms with what my potential was.
Right.
Because I didn't actually know it.
Well, of course you don't. I mean, you never know it.
You don't know
it's
it.
easy to look. It's easy to like hindsight is great. It's easy to look back, even though like hindsight doesn't really exist. But like, yeah, you can like look back and go, yeah, well, of course I had potential. But I mean, the fact is, as a 16-year-old, you had no idea of what you were capable of, and you still don't know what you're capable of.
Exactly. And I think it didn't exist. It didn't exist. Instagram wasn't a platform, or maybe it just started to become a platform where people were just posting pictures of food. So if you told so if you're not
17, food, you're never going to make it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's not even makeup. It's like, it's just a platform. Like, I remember posting on Instagram for the first time, and I actually didn't realize that it got shared publicly.
Right.
I thought it was like my own cute little portfolio of pictures, and I was just posting the most random things, and my friends were like, we can see that, right? And I was like, oh shit, delete. Like, I didn't even know how to use the platform. So the possibility, like, if my present self went back to my past self at 17 was like, hey, this is going to be your job. This new app on your phone that has just popped up will become your career. You'll be like, what do you mean? I don't understand.
I mean, I guess that's like an interesting thought, right? That like a lot of the creators that we see now, I mean, except for the ones that have like really exploded, like in recent years, like Charli D'Amelio and Addison Rae, like, but kind of the creators, like a lot of the creators that we see now, they started doing this stuff before there was a clear path, before there was a platform that like there was like this like obvious way to create fame and to create, it's kind of interesting, right? Because like now you can, be a 16 or 17-year-old and go, yeah, I can use these platforms. I can become this thing. I mean, I think YouTube celebrity is like the number one listed desirable job for teenagers in the US right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole
right.
point of it right now, is that there is a option to do that
right.
as
it's
a career.
A legitimate option.
It is an option, and it's substantiated. You can see it play out, and where people like the Addison Raes of the world become extremely successful. But then back then it was like, this isn't even an option.
Yes.
Don't even try to consider it.
So how did you move? How'd you move into that then?
It's interesting. That's the question. That's the question. I think my past experiences have just been, those past experiences have sort of informed what I'm doing right now, and I didn't even realize it.
Right.
Something as small as, I was thinking about this the other day, I would sit in science class and I would get those like Smiggle gel pens. I don't know if we're familiar with those, but they're just like inky and like cute little like pastel. I used to draw on my hand and create like fun designs. And so that was like, ooh, I can like create something and like I used to do it like on
those pens are incredible.
They're amazing.
They're like currency.
They worked on your hand.
Yeah,
exactly.
I used to, Laura Dundovic.
No.
She's another like an influencer.
Okay.
But I used to bribe her in year 5 and 6 to get her to do all kinds of crazy dares with those pens.
It was the hot commodity of like
Seriously.
of 2008. I would say it's like the colorful eyeliner equivalent.
Yeah.
Where people are like, oh, it's fun and colorful and you can do whatever.
Right.
And so I was creating designs on people's hands and just not listening what was happening in class. I think that was where my creativity sparked. But I went to a all-girls private school where I don't think my individuality and my creativity was nourished in the way that it should have been, because I did drama. Like I was like, I loved doing drama, but like that wasn't quite right for me.
Yes.
Art wasn't quite right for me either, because it was such a structured way to be creative.
Yeah.
And I think it was only when I left school and then was at university where I could explore myself a little bit more. I can dress how I wanted now. There's no uniform. You can express yourself in different ways. And that just opened up like a whole opportunity for me to explore parts of myself through my art.
Yes.
And I remember just posting a fun look. I think I had it was a festival look actually. It was like my first time going to Splendor in the Grass in 2013. And I had sort of leaned on my style / my culture to create this fun little like sparkly look. I had bindies and stuff. And that was the first post that I had popped on Instagram that got like over 1,000 likes, and I had like 400 followers. And I was like, what is
there's a disconnect here.
Yeah, I was like, this isn't, I didn't realize that this could happen.
Sure.
I was like, I'm viral, but it was like such a small
Yeah,
number.
yeah.
And then I thought,
But it's a signal.
it was a signal. It
Yes.
was like like a light bulb in my brain. Is this a possibility? What if I could do this again and again and again? What result will that yield?
Yeah.
So I just kept creating these looks where it was basically just my mind in art, in makeup form.
Right.
So I was like expressing myself of how I felt and how I saw colors and where my inspiration came from. And instead of putting it on a paper or a canvas, my face was the canvas.
Right.
And I was using style and makeup to bring my ideas to life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really putting much thought into how this was going to make me successful or where this was going to go. I was just posting it.
Yeah.
And it was just the consistent posting.
Yeah.
Consistent, like 3 or 4 times a week, like not worrying about how it's going to perform, just posting.
Yes.
And it just built.
Yeah.
It just built. People started to notice that that's what I was doing. And then I got not hate comments, but people being like, why is she posting just selfies?
Yeah.
This is Instagram. Post your friends, post your dog, post your food. Like, it was weird. Then it started to build. Then the little pockets, like we were talking about last episode, little niche pockets started to build, like little communities within communities.
Right.
And it just became opportunity after opportunity after opportunity.
Yeah.
I think that's how it started.
Sure.
But you can't really pinpoint like where I got to this point, because I didn't have a viral moment. That's the thing. I never had like a Charlie D'Amelio moment where I just exploded.
Right. Yeah, I mean, sure. You kind of did, in that like
It wasn't
time is relative, but it's not overnight. But there's no such thing as overnight, right?
But I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, I kind of did have that moment, but it was 100% over time. I just didn't wake up.
I mean, to the outside, it looks like you had
a moment, but then
sure.
you don't see. So like,
Exactly
I experienced a slog, and other people are like, "Wow, how did you get here?"
Exactly.
And I'm like, "Wow, it was years and years and years of work of
Yeah.
not actual work, not actually me putting effort into becoming." Never once did I sit down and say, I want to be Instagram famous.
Right.
I think I would have failed if I said that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny, even this morning, like our mutual friend Vic was like, wow, your team's growing so fast. And it's like, yeah, I did this for like 18 months by myself, you know, like grinding away, you know, like, yeah. And in the last 3 months, my team's grown
It
really
just
fast.
popped. Yeah, and it's just, and you're here.
Yeah.
And it's just like you doing small little things in the background to bring you at that point. But I think that's what makes it so exciting, is that no one really has like this one like all-encompassing origin story. Everyone has their own little way of how they got into the industry, which just shows that it's literally it's an opportunity that anybody can grasp if you're willing to, and you want to, and you're there and you're consistent.
I think there's like an important PSA that I need to like come back to. Like 5 minutes ago, you were speaking about how you felt in high school about creativity. And I think for any like kid that's listening or teenager that's listening who's feeling a bit lost with their creativity in high school, it's there's a specific model of creativity that exists within high school and within, I guess, the way that society views creativity. And I think it's really important to point this out right now.
Yes.
Like, I know we're on like the Rowi Singh journey story right now, but like
No.
it's such an important PSA because creativity isn't a skill. And I think those two things get confused in high school. Like, you might go and do, like, you might, elect to do art in year 11 and 12. And what your teacher might be like, oh, well, you can't draw, so you're not creative, or you can't paint, you're not creative, or you can't sculpt, you're not creative. And like, all of those things are great, but they're not creativity. They're skillful, but they're not creativity.
Yeah.
Creativity is the way that you approach the world. And so
It's an intangible, isn't it?
Yeah, and you should never ever like listen to anyone who tells you that you're not creative, because I think my kind of definition of creativity is that it's a curiosity. It's like a hunger to learn, and then the confidence to connect those things that you learn in new and novel ways. And that's it. It's a thought process.
That's it.
Yeah, it's really straightforward. And the problem is that within our education system and within our homes, we get told as kids, well, you're not creative. Like, you're just not creative, and it's absolutely not true. What you do is you get the creative confidence squashed out of you. So like, anyone who's out there and listening to this, who's like going, oh, like, I'd love to try that, but I'm just not creative. Like, ask yourself why you think that about yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's because people in your life have told you you're not creative, and it's just not true. You just don't fit some model of the world that they have that creativity fits into. And especially if it's like our parents' generation saying that, like, we have a really different view of creativity now. And you just need to build up your creative confidence.
That is so true. And if someone had told me that when I was 16, I think it would have completely changed my outlook, and maybe I would have done it sooner.
Right.
Maybe I would have started like my own creative journey at 17, 18 when I was doubting myself. And you're so right, because I didn't come to the table being like, I am good at makeup, I'm going to be a makeup artist.
Right.
I was like, I like combining colors and seeing patterns and creating like a look out of that. I channeled my creativity into a skill, rather than creativity being the skill.
Yes.
And like you said, it's curiosity combined with passion, combined with consistency, well, that's it.
Yes.
And you have to enjoy it.
Yes.
And that is, I think, why I'm where I am today. Because whenever I have a doubt about like my work, or I start comparing myself to someone else's work online, I'm like, wait, why did we start this in the first place?
Right.
It's because it brought me joy, and I grew my confidence. I was working on something for a long period of time, and I was expanding myself, like my mind, and I was getting to know parts of myself that I hadn't before. That's why I started this. So then I switched back. I'm like, no, I love this, and this is why I'm doing it.
Right.
I don't know. I think that was a tangent, but that is like bang on. And I think people.
It makes me so sad.
Everyone has creativity, but not
100%.
everyone has.
I agree with that. Yes.
Not everyone has, I guess, like the willpower or the know-how to harness it into a skill.
Well, I think as well, like. Not to go down that kind of social politics path, but like being able to exercise your creativity is definitely a symptom of privilege as well. So like,
I was just gonna say,
having the time to invest in something where you don't need to be working, like if you're not at school, you're working to support yourself and your family, or like, it's definitely a mark of privilege to have the time to support something that you just want to do, but just for the sake of it. And so like, I think, there are some really cool programs actually to supporting, like the less privileged, to like show them that creativity can be a path to earn and to find your way in the world. Because I think creativity is viewed differently in obviously like, different pockets of the world. And I mean, it's an inherently valuable thing to explore and a valuable path to explore. And just as important, like, some people, might have pressure to be a doctor, or some people might have pressure to do a trade, or some people might have pressure to be an engineer. But the people leading those fields are creative. They are inherently creative. You can be a creative engineer, a creative doctor, a creative carpenter, and they're the ones that rise to the top of their field and excel. And so, I honestly believe that creativity is the great differentiator in the world.
Without a
no
doubt.
matter what you're doing, creativity is the thing that it differentiates, changes landscapes, changes industries, for sure.
I can't substantiate this, but I did read somewhere on the internet that that's like one of the most, I think that's like one of the main quote unquote skills that employers are looking for. Like, can you be creative? Because it's kind of an irreplaceable skill.
Right.
And I think if you have that ability to be creative and apply yourself, I think everything else can be learned.
Right.
And I think that will set you apart and differentiate
yes.
yourself.
Well, skills are acquirable, and mindset is not. It's like hard, and creativity is mindset to me. So
no, that's it. Creativity is a mindset.
Okay, so we're like 2012, 2013.
Yeah. So uni. I'm doing a commerce art degree because I did commerce, thinking that that's the general umbrella degree that everyone does when they don't know what to do.
Right.
Then I did arts because I liked.
Yeah.
I actually did a theatre degree.
Like the A word.
The A word.
I like art.
I like art. It's like hard to say.
Yeah.
So I did commerce arts because I did really well in theatre at high school. I was a theatre. couldn't be. So no, I did quite well, and so I thought, okay, you know what? Screw everything else. I'll do something that might give me some stability.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll pursue something that I genuinely did well at, because let's see where that goes.
Right.
And it didn't really go. Theatre and in uni was terrible. It was theoretical.
Okay.
I was ready to be
yes.
Let's go, jazz hands. Let's act. And it was very theoretical.
You thought you were on your way to become Mr. G when really you were writing papers.
Exactly. I was just writing essays, and I was like, right, how did we get here? But I ended up doing a couple of media subjects as part of my electives, and I started doing social media and learning about that aspect and how that was sort of tying into my art at the time, because I was on social media. Whilst I was at uni, I was posting these looks. So I would go to uni.
But you took a subject on social media?
Yeah, it was like social media and the self, and how your identity.
Who taught that?
I have no.
I mean, did you? I just imagine some 50-year-old career academic coming to talk to you about how social media works, right? Was it like that or no?
No, it was just it was. There was this book that we had that was about social media in yourself and how you can express yourself through social media, and it was so weird because it paralleled what I was doing at home.
Right.
And I was like, could this be a career? And then I started talking to people at university, people who can guide you in your career. And yeah, of course, you can work in social media. It was a mind-blowing thing for me, because at school I was really taught that there are 5 career options, and if you don't take those 5 options, you're not going to be successful. And then all of a sudden these job opportunities started popping up. I could be a creative director. What does that even mean? I could work in social media as a strategist. What does that mean?
Right.
And the possibilities started to open up for me. And so I finished my degree, and I did go into media. I worked at a media agency, and I worked on the social media team. And so we were strategizing social media.
How old's Rowi right now?
At that point I think I just graduated 21.
Okay.
21, 22. And alongside all of this, so straight out of uni, I was doing my art, my makeup and my looks, and posting that on social. So
and how many followers do you have right now?
I think I would have had, at uni, I was I've got so many followers. I think I had 15K. But I was look at me. This is amazing. But that was a lot for
Don't
them.
you know who I am?
Well, there would be some people being I follow you. And I was like, what? It blew my mind, because something that felt like it only existed online was starting to seep into my real world. I went from university to working a full-time job, 9 to 5, and I think at that point I might have had about 50K. So it was jumping up.
Right.
And at work, it was intense. like it was quite a full-on job, and it was taxing, and the way that the media industry just expects you to work so much overtime and such little reward or pay, and that tested me because I was working 9 to 5 or 6 or 7, 8, and then I have no time to create looks, and then I would have to backlog my looks on the weekend. All right, Saturday morning, you're waking up, you're getting up at 9, you're going to do a look from 9 to 12, then you're going to do one from 1 to 3, and you're going to have like three looks under your belt so you can post that sporadically next week. Right. It was all of this. I was exhausted.
It's grind.
It was a grind. And I think that's the thing, like being able to pursue your creativity or being able to do something expressive 100% is a privilege.
Right.
It is a privilege because I did make it work, but I get a lot of questions of people saying, I don't have the time. I want to do it, but I don't have the time.
Yeah.
You just have to double down. You do have the time.
Yeah.
You got to find that time.
Yes.
Because you could be the most busiest person in the world and you will somewhere find that space. And so I did what I could.
Right.
To make it work. Yeah.
Right. And I think like there's lots of different ways that time arises. Like you can, and again, probably gonna like disclaimer this, probably speaking from privilege here, but like I think you can sacrifice time, so you can work your 9 to 5 job and then be exhausted, but maybe do like 4 hours a night, get home, do 4 hours a night, or give up your weekend, so you can like give up lifestyle.
Yes.
Or you can take that pay cut, go into something part-time and maybe and take a lifestyle hit, like quality of life, like maybe if you're lucky enough to have like parents you can move in with or something like that, then you can. I think there's always sacrifice to be made. Yeah. Yes. Nothing comes for free. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And I really respect people in creative industries who just give it their full force, knowing all well the risks of it all and not actually having like a substantial backup plan. Because again, speaking from privilege, I had a backup plan. I was still living at home at the time.
Right.
So I guess for me to be able to go, I'm going to jump into it, it was a little bit of an easier decision. But for people who don't have that network or a support system to jump into it, that takes balls and a whole nother level of believing in yourself. And it's so possible, but I respect it because I did have like a sort of safety net, I guess.
Right.
And touching on that point, that's what ended up happening. I went part-time. I started to wean off work because I was missing out on all these opportunities that were coming through from my like influencing creator side. And
was work supportive of that?
Yes, I think they were. I think they really were. Everyone knew what I was doing and everyone loved it. And I think one of my directors, she was just such a big supporter. And when I told her that I wanted to do this full time, she was like, finally.
Oh, that's awesome.
She was really supportive. And there was a bit of pushback.
Shout out to director.
Yeah, shout out to director. She was really supportive. I did have some people say, what if you don't make it?
Right.
You're going to have to start as an assistant again and work your way back up to an executive manager. Like you'll have to
Which
do
is
it all
definitely
again.
not true anyway. It's it's like it's not like a video game. You don't like die and go back to the beginning. It's but
then that's the thing that I weigh that up and I said, okay, so what?
Who is saying that? Well, it's so funny that people might say something like that.
I don't want to lose you.
Yeah.
They will say whatever they can.
But also just like tall poppy syndrome and that's such a funny thing to say. It's like, where does the world work like that?
But even if you did, if you had to.
It's such a toxic thing to say.
It is a toxic thing to say.
That's grinding my gears.
Yeah, well, so I sidebar, I like I could literally just shit on this person right now, but I don't know what to. I'll keep it sort of diplomatic. But I did have some people. I had like the angel and devils.
They're dumpster fires.
Dumpster fire,
yeah,
literally.
This is
but
like a dumpster fire of a person.
This is dumpster fire, but like in a toxic work environment, which I'm
totally.
sure everybody has had that experience. And so I did have
Except
a good
Atelier.
So I did have people who were supporting me, but then I did have all the doubts flooding to my mind. And my parents being like, "What?"
Right.
I'm so wait, hang on. We sent you to a private school. Right. We sent you. You went to university. You got this whole degree for you to quit your job like 1.5 years into it.
Right.
What? This doesn't make sense. What are you doing? And it is scary, but at that point I had not been backing myself and I was like, enough is enough. I need to do it. I need to jump like head first. And I think what made me quit my job eventually and pursue creating full time is just like, wait, really think about it. What is the worst thing that can happen? I was 24, 25. What is the worst thing that can happen? Okay, it fails.
Yeah.
People are so scared of something failing that they will just never do it.
Yeah.
That's so common.
Yes.
And I'm like, I actually thought about it properly. I wrote it down. I was like, okay, if this doesn't work out, you know, I stop earning money. Okay, do you have a safety net of money? Yes. Are you living at home? Yes. Okay, so that's sorted.
Right.
Okay, it's just a big failure. I have to look for more jobs. Okay, get your resume up to date.
Right.
So if you have to jump back in, it's all ready to go.
Right.
There's a risk in anything.
Yes.
Of like pursuing what you want. But
I mean, we
like,
spoke about risk last time.
It's
a risk. It's a risk to do it, and it's a risk not to do it as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you can always do it. Like what you did is actually like an interesting tool that you can use sometimes, like a pre-mortem. Like if you have a decision to make, you can do a pre-mortem where you go, okay, how does this fail? Like list out all the ways that this fails, and then let's figure out what happens if it fails.
Because if you're looking at your fears head on, literally looking at it written down, it's not as scary.
Right.
Because it's not as like, what is the possibility? It's like, okay, these are actually the possibilities.
Yep.
And it's a very confronting thing to do because you're like, holy shit, this is what could happen to me.
Life might get harder, but am I going to die? Like, is there anything that I do here that can't be undone?
Exactly. And I think people like, I don't know why people have this complex in their 20s that they're running out of time. No, you're not. Like,
no, you've got plenty of time. You've got nothing but time. Yeah.
And I was lucky.
I'm like 100. I think I've got time.
Like everyone has time. My dad was working a very, very stable job in like marketing, and he was there for like 10, 15 years until he decided that he was not happy in his mid 50s and quit his job and started all over again.
Bless. Shout out to Papa Rowi.
Literally.
Yeah.
And an icon. And so he was supporting me. Like my dad has always just been there being like, you can do this. It's fine. I did it.
What did he go? What did he go to?
He did business coaching and like website design. And like creating websites for people. Yeah. So he actually had a venture that he was starting up from scratch, and he had built this like AI technology with a business partner, and that whole thing fell through. And he was like, never mind, start from scratch. Let's do it again.
Good role model.
I was like, wow. Okay. So I can see someone, I'm lucky to have someone within my family who is encouraging me to go, and do it regardless. And I think that probably helped me 100%.
For sure.
I could see that, look, it's not the end of the world. And like my dad is so happy now. He's chilling. He works from home. Like we're both like, when we were both at home, we were just working at home, just like hanging out, and he's happy.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. So I think that inspired me to quit my job and do it full time. And then all of a sudden I had all this full time to create. I was like, what am I going to do?
Right. Did you not know what to do with yourself?
I was like...
How many followers are we at now?
84.
Okay.
Actually, I remember very specifically.
Okay, yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember hitting that number and being like...
And
ooh.
what opportunities were you missing out on?
I guess it was more, this brand wants to work with you, and they want you to attend their event to get to know you, but the event's at like 2 p.m.
Right.
Sometimes I literally would just... BRB from work for a little bit, and they'd be like, where'd you go? I'm like, I'm at a meeting, or like I just would organize it so it was in my lunch times, and it was hectic, it was crazy, but all of a sudden I had all this time, and I realized that I had all this time to finally do what I've been wanting to do. Like time was finally on my side, and I just delved so deep into my brain of like all these looks that I had backlogged, but I didn't have enough time to do. And then I got signed to Max Connectors, and I got signed to my agency pretty much around the same time that I quit. And I was like, okay, now I have like backing and people to help me through this, and I can strategize and plan, and I could start my goals, and my long-term goals started to form now. I was like, okay, so maybe I do this for another 5 years, then I build to this followership, then I start my business. Is that a brand? Is that even possible? It became a lot more clear of what my creative trajectory could be.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there like, is it possible to like scroll back through your Instagram like a core sample in the ice, and then see that these decisions, like when all of a sudden you had more time, did things change visually?
Yes, without a doubt. I think it stepped up. It stepped all the way up, and I
Right.
started to be a little bit more smart about how I was presenting my content. So instead of just being like, here's another look and here's another look, I created like a look series, and I would create a theme. Like, we're going to do a fruit series, and I'm going to do all these makeup looks inspired by fruit.
Word.
And I would release them, and people would be waiting for the next one, and it would garner all this attention. Then I actually, it's funny, I had this like explosion because James Charles was like following me, and he was like, do you want to take over my account?
Who's James Charles?
Come on, Nicholas.
No one. Who the fuck is James Charles?
Cut the tape. Cut the cameras. Okay, James Charles is like
I mean,
the
who's
beauty
James
guru.
Charles for those at home who might not know who James Charles is?
No, fair enough. It is a fair.
Yeah. Who is John Mellencamp?
It is a fair question, but and that's funny as well, right? Because I'm so deep in this like creating world. I'm like,
Right.
James Charles, that's like a household name in
Huh?
makeup guru, beauty guru, one of the OGs. Like,
Does he have a brand? Maybe reach out to us. Who? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So he is like
All right.
one of the top. I would just say like if you had
He's
to
a makeup
name-
artist.
Makeup artist. If
Okay, there you
if
go.
you had to name like top 5 beauty influencers in the world, he would be.
Really?
Yeah,
Still?
I think so. Yeah. He's constantly like in hot water. He's constantly like in drama, scandals, beauty scandals, like but he's big. He is big. Yeah.
You have to talk me into it, I guess.
No,
This is for the
I'll
people
show
at
you.
home. I
Don't
know
worry.
who Joshua James is.
Right here. Let's pop it up.
Yeah.
Pop the profile right
Yeah.
here.
I know who Prince Charles is, okay?
Did you say Prince Charles?
Yeah.
Prince Charles does makeup.
Yeah. I understand
He does beauty.
this.
But he's essentially a big dog in the
Sure,
beauty
sure.
industry, and I took over. I took over his account,
And
did,
that's
like,
a
the
massive
thing.
deal, obviously.
It was a massive deal. Just from that, I grew 15K
Wow.
in like overnight.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, so now I can take over. I can collaborate with other people. I can spend all day. I can do YouTube. I can do long form content. I have time to actually edit properly.
Right.
So I delved into it like I just head first because I was actually really excited because I had so many ideas.
Totally.
And it was a combination of excitement, but also this better not fail. Like, I'm going to put my whole heart into this.
Right.
Because I'm passionate about it. And I'm going to, I guess, prove everyone wrong who was like, no, I don't know if this can be a career option. I just wanted to kind of do it
Sure.
for myself and I guess for other people.
Right.
I wanted to prove myself. So I just jumped straight into it. Yeah.
That's good because I think a lot of people would say, oh, this better not fail, but there's a certain amount of fear that comes along with that would cripple them into putting everything into it because then you've got an excuse, right? Then you're like, well, it didn't work out, but I didn't really give it my all. So like if I did give it my all, then it would have worked out.
Yeah.
Or, like if you kind of leave it all on the field and you lose, that's a pretty big psychological blow.
Oh, 100%.
So I guess like
Yeah.
I guess like that's another like doing that Instagram account takeover, like that's another signal, right? I want to know what where the story so far, like, yeah, you express some doubts, but it's got like an air of inevitability to it. Like, give me the moments where you were just like, fuck this, I can't do this, I've hit a wall, like, I don't reckon I'm going to make it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like, are you like, how often did you jump on Seek.com and look at like job ads, or like, how often did you, like, I want to hear those moments,
It was just constant because any sort of small setback, it felt so big
Right.
to me. Or maybe I felt, my stomach is crumbling. I'm just going to let it play out.
We've got about 5 minutes, by the way.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think so. Okay.
I think we're on the tail end of it as well.
Yeah.
We're kind
Okay,
of-
sweet,
Now
yeah.
it's kind of like so
That's good, though.
yeah. Just so many times, any sort of minor inconvenience was like, this is never going to work out.
Right.
And it felt huge to me, but it was maybe just like my content not being seen by enough people. Like the impressions are down, or I had like a lull in terms of brand opportunities, and it felt silent around me.
Sure.
It felt like everyone else had turned away and turned their nose, because that's how social media makes you feel sometimes. You feel very siloed in what you're doing because you can't just elbow the creator next to you and be like, hey, are you feeling the same thing as me? It felt so so I don't know, closed off. Like everyone's in their own little boxes doing their own thing.
Right.
And so there was many times where I was like, this is it. Like, I guess there's only a finite time that I'll stay relevant.
Right.
And then I'll just die off. And the 100%, I think I was creating scenarios in my head. Okay, I was like, okay, so as a content creator, this could be channeled as a creative director. Like I could be doing this for other brands. Do I even want to do that for other brands?
Right.
I think before I even became a full-time creator, I was actually reaching out to some brands to see if I could do social work for them. And I think I had that lined up as well as like another backup option.
Sure.
But you were constantly going to feel like you're on the verge of failing. This isn't going to turn out.
Right.
And there are so many points where actually probably wouldn't have turned out if I didn't keep going. Because that is, from the very get-go, I started out by being creative and consistent. Just consistent.
Right.
Because I wasn't worried about whether I was failing or succeeding. I was just going. And then I just had to, in that same moment of having 100K as opposed to 1,000 followers, you just keep going. You keep posting and you keep reminding yourself why you're doing it in the first place.
Like everyone else. We're just living in it. It's a creator's world and we just live in it. It's a creator's world and we're just living in it.
It's a creator's world. You don't... My stomach is grumbling. Just let it play out.
Snack break.
Cut the tape. Cut the cameras. Creativity, imagination.
Yeah, I full like
You
So much.
have a good day today.
Yeah.
Bye.